Hello, 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 and hello again. How's everybody doing? Now, listen, welcome to Wedding Insight, and we give you the tips and the tricks, the do's and the don'ts, what to do and how to do it. And I can't do this without my partners in crime. Please welcome to the show, Nick Alambi.
Hey!
What's going on, Nick?
I don't know, but you know what? I gotta say, there's been movement in the industry, movement. That's all I'm happy about, to see that we are having weddings. And again, parties.
All right, now look. Listen, nobody wants to see two guys on the screen. We need something beautiful on the screen. So let's bring her in. This is Mariza. That's better. It kind of evens it out. You know what I mean? We can't have two of us without a pretty thing on the bottom. There you go.
Well,
there you go.
Wait a minute. Where's the other partner in crime?
No,
He's doing a wedding.
No. It can't. He can stay. It can't change the dynamics. See, look at that right there.
Oh, look at that.
We miss you, buddy. But he's doing his thing. If you're looking for the DJ, there you go. That's what he does. He spins the ones and twos for great music. So make sure you check them out. All right, let's get down to the nitty gritty. Question for y'all. When you're all getting married, did you guys talk before about where are we going to stay after we get married? Where are we going to live? Did you guys have those discussions?
Yeah, we did. Unfortunately, I mean, it's a great question. It's a very important question because it's almost like what came first, the egg or the hen, right? And it's one of those things where weddings are great events to celebrate a milestone. But then again, when it comes to where you're going to live, you have to talk about those things. And I don't think a lot of people do. And I wasn't lucky enough. I had to kind of live with my mom for the first little bit. So, that's a very realistic scenario for a lot of people, but for a lot of people, it's different. They're buying their home, right?
Yeah. See, I think that is lucky when you can stay with your family for a while, save up and do what you got to do. Cause that's what we did. We moved in, saved up what we can. And then when the market was great, all that money we saved, we just put a down payment. You know what I mean? Cause some people go out right away and they struggle. You know what I mean? They struggle with finances and what's she doing? What's he doing? And I got to work double time. And then the marriage starts off all this up and down because you're all over the place. So I don't know. What about you, Nick? What are your thoughts on this?
It's a tough. Like, we're talking about a housing market right now that nobody knows if it's going up or down, but it just seems like it keeps on going up. And, do we get in now? Do we get in later? Should I be buying a house now? Or should I, do I have a good party? Like, do I have a good event? Like, it's tough. Like, I don't care what anybody says. I think for anybody who's doing it today, kudos to them and what they get done. But you know what? At the end of it all, I'm not the expert, right? Who's the expert? Like, is that who we're bringing on here today? Or
well, we got to bring somebody on to tell us what to do, because what is it? Do you buy a home? Do you rent? Buy a condo? Do you lease? Do you move in? Do you share the lease? Who gets the mortgage? Whose name do you sign it in? Do you sign in your parents' name? If you die, do you answer those questions?
I think I'm going to go with Breeze's thing. I'm just going to move in with family. We're good.
Well, listen, let's bring somebody on that can answer those questions for us. All right, please welcome to the show, Ryan.
Hey guys,
how you doing?
I'm excellent. Thanks for the very friendly introduction. And yeah, it definitely can be stressful for first-time homebuyers. Just a quick introduction. My name is Ryan Cavill. I work with Keller Williams. My main office is down in King West. We service downtown King West, downtown neighborhoods, the Junction, all the way out to Etobicoke. And we have team members in all different parts of the GTA. So,
wow.
As a buyer, it can definitely be a bit of a challenge. And even if your timeline is a couple months out or a year or so out, we like to work with our clients right in the beginning to empower them, give them as much knowledge right up front so they can start planning for that. Does that make sense?
All right. So here, I'm going to dive right in. How do you ask your fiance when you guys are getting together? You look at her, a candlelight dinner, and you turn to her and go, "What's your credit like? Do you have debts?"
Wait a minute. Wait. Hold on. Isn't it supposed to be wedding or house? Which did you prefer? Isn't that right? What would you say there?
So yeah, that's definitely a tough one, right? Because weddings can get pretty pricey, and so can down payments for homes. We talked about it a little bit before, but yeah, like, is the chicken or the hen first, right? So,
all right.
yeah,
So so let's roll it.
Yeah.
Would you, if you had a choice, a wedding or a house, Nick?
I'd ask to go back to the credit score thing, but I think I had the wedding. Still working on the house.
Yeah, a wedding or a house, Breeza. You can only have one.
House all the way. Like
See, but see, here's the thing, though. A lot of young people don't look at the house. They go, "I want a party. No, I'm getting married. I want to have a party." And I'm thinking, a minimum wedding is how much, Nick? Let's go minimum, like minimum.
$30,000, $20,000.
Yeah.
Okay, so Ryan, can you put down 30,000 down and get something?
Yeah, I mean, it might not be right in the core, but the minimum would be about 5%, right? So on a $500,000 purchase, 5% would be 25,000. Of course, you've got closing costs on top of that.
So basically, there's your house right there. You know what I mean? You can start off, but they want to party, they want to throw the bouquet, and they're not looking to the future, right? So what do we say to our young brides and grooms that are getting married about, do you need 300 people at your wedding? Do you need the 2 limos? You know what I'm saying? What do you think, Breeza?
Well, the DJ part of us says party.
I know. Oh, I'm an MC, so I'm kind of putting my foot in my mouth too. But like, at the end of the day, I'm not saying not to have a wedding. Let me just clarify: have a wedding, but do you need to have, like, we've seen it, Nick, like the cabalabras, the this, the that, like the 9-course meal, this. You know what I mean? Like, do we have to go over the top?
And truthfully, what I first say is that right now, I think the idea is that the investment is the most important thing. Home ownership is the most important thing. And again, this is something we talk about right now. We're taking advantage of. Like I said, when you have that conversation, do you meet somebody and say, "I love you dearly. Do you want a wedding or do you want a house?" Like, I think that's where it comes back down to. And I'm going to go back to what you just started saying about the credit score. And like, right, let me ask you truthfully, do you see that being a challenge for new and upcoming families, new and upcoming people that want to get married?
You know what? Because a lot of people use dating apps, I think that should be one of the 5 questions is, what's your credit score like?
I'm not swiping left until I know your credit score. There you go.
It can be an awkward conversation and talking about finances, depending on what part of the relationship you're at, right? The other thing in addition to the credit score is, like, what do your savings look like? What are your habits with money and these types of things?
Nice. I like that. I like what he just said there. What is your habits with money? Because if you're thinking like, okay, it's the end of the month, we need to pay down on property tax or something, but she's a weekend spender, or he's a
or he.
I tried to slide that one in there, eh, Nick?
Yeah, I saw that one.
Yes, or he is a football what do you call it, gambler on the weekends. You know what I mean? So you're absolutely right. So what do you find, Ryan? Here's the question: do you find more people, when they come to you, they didn't realize what each other's debts were, or they didn't realize that they didn't have a good credit score? Which is it?
Yeah, sometimes it's the credit score that needs to improve. That needs improvement. So there's some different strategies behind that to get that higher. As a real estate agent, I don't always know all of the financial background of my buyer clients. It's more of the mortgage broker end that they're going to be finding out a lot of that stuff. In a lot of cases, right in the downtown Toronto market, the parents are helping out quite a bit, right? Yeah. They're helping out with 5, 10, 20%.
Okay. Can you elaborate more on that then?
Right. So, if they are going to be putting down $30,000 or $60,000, sometimes they'll have their own savings, or they will be living with their parents and saving. Other times the parents will take equity out of their own home and gift it to their children to help with the down payment. I realize that might not be everybody's circumstance.
Okay.
But that's what we're seeing quite often. Yeah.
Yeah.
So is a growing trend?
Yeah, I like
trend, right? Is a growing trend right now more you're seeing where the couples are maybe a little afraid to go to the family, or are you seeing that our families are just being more welcoming coming forward?
Yeah, there's a lot of empathy for the younger generation to try to get in the market, and because the market has been increasing at such a great rate, and the house prices are going up so much, the parents and the grandparents they have a little bit more equity a lot of times to help out and gift some of that money if the children or the younger adults rather are a bit tight.
Well, I like your wording. It's more about gifting.
Yes.
That's not really the case. So we actually bought our first home 3 years ago. But I completely I understand I guess the engaged part of me, I would say party, but now the mom and the wife part of me, I'm like, oh my God, no house. And when my daughter was we found out we were expecting, this was 14 years ago. We tried to get into the real estate, just buying our first home, whatever it was, and we couldn't. We just bought our house 3 years ago, and your terminology is so much nicer because the parents are gifting, that little bit, and it's not really the reality. It's more of well, I have to pay them back. So we pay 2 mortgages, and that's how we have to do in order to actually own a little piece of land. So, and not a lot of people have that opportunity, especially if they're for the first generation kids here and their parents are still renting. They don't have that opportunity. So at this point, it's about educating brides and grooms, or whether they're buying their house before marriage or after. It's about education, because you're right, it all starts with eligibility to even purchase. You can't even talk about purchasing if your credit score is not even great, or your investments, like how your saving habits. So way before about even thinking about owning a home, you have to think about and sit down. But it's that education, and that's why we're having you here today in the show, because it's about educating brides and grooms, whether they're buying their house before or after.
So hold on, let me ask you this to go on what Breeza said. Well, okay, ready? I'm the young couple getting married. My credit score is terrible, but can we use my parents, or how does that work?
Yeah, so the credit score, and I'm not a mortgage professional, but the way it kind of works is the credit score is one of the aspects for the qualification. The other thing is going to be the family income or the employment income. And usually it's about 5 times the income what you can qualify for. So if the family income is about $100,000, usually you can qualify for about a $500,000 mortgage. So the first one's the credit score, the second one is the family income, and then the other one is the down payment, right? So up to $500,000, it's 5% down. Between $500,000 and $1 million, it's 10%. So it would be $50,000 for that home, and then over $1 million, you have to put 20% down on the home.
Okay, so
uninsured.
All right, so Nick, just send me that 20%.
I got a question for Ryan. So Ryan, when you're going through all this, what is the so-called grading or qualification that you put in place to help not only you coming investors or brides and grooms are doing, what are your things to validate them or say, listen, this is the realistic and this is unrealistic,
Well, first of all, there has to be a want and a desire for home ownership, because maybe they want to get out of renting and they've been paying somebody else's mortgage for years. They will need some financial ability there. I find out if they've spoken to a bank or a mortgage broker about their financial robustness, I suppose. And, even if they're in the early stages, we meet for a buyer's consultation, because it might not be something that happens right away, but it might be like a 1 or 2 year plan that they can start building towards.
All right, so let's be real. Let's be realistic, though. They come to you and they say they meet you for the first time, and then they show you the house in the Hamptons. How do you break it down to the young couple that you don't have Hampton style and show them something that they like? Your job is to show me something that she'll be happy and I'll be happy. How do you do that?
Yes. So, the first investment in the property ladder might not be their dream home, right? It might be a 1-bedroom condo or something a little bit further out of the city. So, just for them to start getting on that property ladder and start paying off their mortgage and the home to start appreciating, then maybe their next home might be closer to that, that family home. But typically what we look at is this trifecta here of price, location, and features, right? So we can definitely have 2 of these, but the third one, you might have to have a little bit of flexibility. meaning if you want a really good location and amazing features, you might have to be a bit more flexible on the price there. If you want an amazing features at a lower price, you might have to sacrifice the location, right? So, you know, as a first-time home buyer, you might have to make a few, not adjustments, but a few sacrifices to get into that first property so you can just start benefiting from the market.
All right. So here, Breeza is chipped off for a second. So I'm going to ask you this question before she gets back. When a man and woman go into the house, how can the guy get what he wants? Because she wants the kitchen.
Yeah, that happens.
She wants that. Oh, sorry, Breeza. Hey, Breeza's back. There you go.
I heard that.
You're right. That's what we do in the discovery session, in the strategy session, is we kind of go over what he likes about the next home and what's on her wish list. Yeah. And I always say to my clients that it might be a 9 out of a 10 or an 8 out of 10, but it might be a bit of a challenge to get that 10 out of 10 right away, especially within this budget.
All right. So here's the thing. Go ahead, Nick.
I got one. So are you finding that another sacrifice that couples are doing today is they may even rent out a section of their home to help minimize that impact of what their monthlies would be and stuff like that? Is that a growing trend right now compared
Absolutely.
to immediately having a homeowner?
Yeah, if they can buy a freehold property that has a separate entrance and a basement suite that might have a little kitchenette in there, it could be a mortgage helper, right? Because if they could get an extra $1,000 a month from renting out the basement, it definitely helps with the qualification.
All right. So
hold on one thing. What about the so-called nanny homes or garage-style apartments that they're doing that are now becoming this big trend in the Toronto area for the laneways? Is that something you're seeing?
Yeah, laneway houses are starting to get approved more in different neighborhoods. And, because we really do have a housing crisis and a lack of housing for all different types of people, like immigrants and for people that are, born and raised in Canada. So the government is trying to figure out different types of housing to accommodate. And, a lot of those basement suites are not legal basement suites. I would say, 80 to 90% of them are not legal, meaning that they don't have, if there's, those fire exits where it's escape emergency and the egress window.
Yeah.
So it's not that they're a dangerous basement suite. It's just that the owner didn't pay for, thousands of dollars to upgrade their home so that it would be a legal suite. And the government just kind of lets it slide because they need housing for everyone. Right. And so we see a lot of illegal basement suites, but the government seems to be fine with it. So
here's a question I have to ask, because this goes for both people. When you buy your house and you're looking to upgrade, okay, so this is your first stepping stone. When we're looking for it, do we look for a house with the backyard, or is it a bigger kitchen? What is something that we need to go in the first time to resell it again? What's the thing we should be looking for?
More land.
Yeah. So your first property, location is usually the most, that's what everybody should really be looking for in the beginning. If it's, they say you don't want to buy the most expensive house in the worst area. You want to buy the house in the best area that can have some upside on it. You can fix it up. You can do some remodeling and add some value to that. So to answer your question, yeah, a lot of people, they're looking, because of COVID, they're looking for extra office space. They're looking for a bit more outdoor space, a bit of a backyard. So they're willing to drive a little bit further out of the city because that's more within their affordability threshold. So
Ryan, I have a question for you. What have you seen the trend has been this past year? Because a lot more people were working from home. Parties weren't happening. Did you see a rise in new brides and grooms that maybe pushed a wedding or decided to have a city hall wedding, and now they bought their first home? Is that a trend that you found?
Yeah, a couple of personal friends I have, they did push off their wedding and they did get into a home throughout this. So they were able to get into that home and get a good price on that home. And now it's worth $100,000 more than they bought it a year ago. So they're in a better financial position. And yeah, they're planning on getting married summer of next year. So
let me ask you this, Breeza, what was on your list, and Nick, what was on your list? What did you have to have? What did you have to have in your house? Was it the kitchen, the backyard? What was your checklist, Breeza?
The kitchen. First of all, the kitchen is a huge one. As I can't say as a woman, it's an appeal because that's where you spend a lot of your time in. And like Ryan mentioned that a lot of the homes, if you find something that has that extra rental income, we actually and we got lucky in the sense that not a lot of properties have more than one washer and a dryer, where we did. And our washer and the dryer was right beside the refrigerator. And at first I thought, oh my God, that's hideous. That's so gross looking.
Very European.
Right? But that's exactly what I was very European. I'm like, ew, no, this is disgusting. And as time progressed, I'm like, oh my God, this is the best thing ever. Like I can be like cooking and just doing laundry. Like we have 3 kids. But you know what? Like having the knowledge that I know now in respects to home buyership, yes, they're like Toronto. We're in Durham, and Toronto is known for having a lot of those like illegal. As long as you, I don't know, find something that you find is safe. But as I don't. We got burned because the person that was here decided to, we rented the basement. They're like, that's not a legal basement, and we got reported, and we had to convert it into a single dwelling. And doing that while you're paying 2 mortgages is not fun. So on that note, I suggest to brides and grooms, just do your research. It's better to pay a little bit more, but buy a legal basement as opposed to not, because one thing is to get the home of your dreams, but then if you're going to rent, it's finding the right tenant, and that's the other issue too. And trust that they're going to live there safe, because you are providing a safe dwelling for your tenants, but ensure that they're not going to come after you as that way if there is like tenant or landlord issues, right? So that's the other. That's why.
Nick, I'm moving in with you, buddy.
Why not? Listen, all I can say is as long as it's got a garage and a backyard and a little basement, I'm happy. But right, I got to ask the biggest one of all. And here's the crystal ball question. I know it's always said best. If you're going to buy anything, it's always best to have a realtor, because they're always going to watch out for best interest and things you've never considered. So the crystal ball question I want to ask you is, where should people start looking for a possible first home if they can't afford to be in the Toronto area?
Yeah, so drive until you can afford, really, Nick. No. The reality is, like, I personally just bought a home in Cambridge, right? It just closed a week ago. So we wanted a 3-bedroom home. We were moving out of a condo. We wanted a backyard. And, in that tertiary market there, it is quite competitive. You might be going up against 3 or 5 or even 10 other buyers for a home. So it does take a bit of patience there. That particular area, Kitchener-Waterloo, the prices have gone up almost 30% in 1 year alone. So investment wise, some people say, it could be a bubble. It's going to crash. The house is never going to be worth that again. So like you said, Nick, we don't have a crystal ball. We don't know if it's going to crash or not. But what I would say is, if you're planning on reselling that home in like a year or two, speculating on the property, maybe it's not a good idea to do that. But if you're planning on having that home for 5 or 10 years plus, I think you're probably in good shape. Even though the houses seem like it can't go up anymore. I have a graph that shows the house prices since 1960, and on average over the last 40 years, houses have appreciated at least 4% every year. Some years it's dropped down a little bit, but overall, we see that real estate is a solid long-term investment. All
right, so here's the question, because to go on what Nick said and everything else, what is your buffer? So if you have like your budget is $50,000, do you go for a $50,000 house, or do you go for a $40,000? Like how far in your budget do you go to the max, or do you save, or what do you do?
Are we talking about maxing out the down payment, or are we talking about like a home? Because as Ryan said, You ain't getting nothing for
No, I mean, like,
$50,000.
I'm just saying for both. Like, if you're for your house, you put the full in for your max, or do you say yes, we have this, but we're not going to give full. We're going to keep some and as it grows, and then put it in. What are you supposed to do? Put the full thing in, or look?
Yeah, you can put down 5% on a home, and one thing you do have to keep in mind though is there's mortgage insurance, right? Because the bank is only going to put 80% down on that home. You're going to put down the 5%, and then CMHC, the Canadian Housing Mortgage Corporation, is going to make up the 15% difference. So there will be an insurance premium that you get charged by CMHC that's going to go on top of your mortgage. But at least you have your foot in the door, and you're starting to pay down your mortgage every month. And right now you can get an interest rate sub 2% right now, right?
Mm-hmm.
So every month, every time you're paying the principal, or sorry, you're paying the interest of the bank, a portion of that goes towards the principal as well. And it's forced savings. So I have a quick example here of three. Do you have a second? Three financial benefits. If you're in the $900,000 price point and you're looking at a modest 4% appreciation year over year, in the first year alone, you're looking at $36,000 in projected appreciation. The second form, the financial benefit rather, is through those principal payments I mentioned. So part of it is going to go towards interest, and the other part towards principal. So if you take an interest rate of 2.5%, which is a little bit high, but conservative interest rate at a 25-year term, the principal in year one is $21,000. So just by paying your mortgage for 1 year, you're already up $57,000 in equity in your home. Now, when you look at the tax benefit and what your home value is going to look like in the next 5 years, if we take that $900,000 home at a 4% interest rate year over year, your projected home value in 5 years is $1,095,000. After your loan, you've been paying your mortgage every month for 5 years. Your loan's going to be now $600,000, $609,000. So after 5 years of just paying your mortgage, you're going to have tax-free earnings of over $300,000 in your principal residence. And as it is right now, those tax-free earnings are not, they're not taxable. The government is not going to take that from you. You can use that $300,000 for your next purchase, or you can just keep it in equity in your home.
All right, people, make sure you take a screenshot of that, because if it was back in the day, if it was explained to us this way, it'd be much easier. I don't know about you, Breeza, but when they first talked to me about this stuff, it was just flying over my head. Like, I didn't understand it, because when you put in lawyer fees, when you put in this fee and that fee, like the money you thought was all going to your house, it's not all going to your house. So here's a question, Ryan. How do we find somebody like you that has the knowledge when you're looking for a realtor, looking for something? What are the steps to make sure you're finding the right person?
Yeah, I would say hire a full-time real estate agent. And some people, like, they want to talk to the listing agent because they feel like they're going to get some kind of special deal going through the listing agent. But technically, the listing agent has a fiduciary duty to represent the seller. So they're looking out for the seller's best interest. So it doesn't cost you anything to work with a buyer's agent. Find a full-time one. And I would recommend sitting down with them for a buyer's consultation or doing a Zoom consultation so they can get inside your head a little bit more on, the location you're looking for, the price you're looking for, the features of the property, and your timeline, and discover what you're looking for a bit more so they can prescribe the best direction forward.
I have a question.
Sure.
In respects to, we're talking about what brides and grooms should do, married couples, whether they're married or not married. This is about them buying their first home. What are you seeing are the common mistakes that people do? Because that's something that if you recognize these mistakes because you're in this industry, but we're in a different industry within the wedding industry, of course. But this is not our forte, which is why we're having you as an expert guest. But what are common mistakes that you see all the time that are just classic mistakes, whether pandemic, non-pandemic? What do you see as common mistakes that people are doing buying the first home?
Well, one of the most common ones is, kind of going out and going to open houses or shopping online and spending a lot of time like looking for that home before getting the pre-qualification and finding out the clarity on the financing. So with the pre-approval, there's a couple different steps there. You're going to give your credit score and your tax information and everything to the lender, and they're going to give you your maximum budget. That way you'll know where you're at, so that you can spend all the time looking for that perfect property, right? Not the other way around. The other thing is there's a lot of bidding wars now, right? So you might see 5, 10, 15 offers. Some buyers are complaining that they overpaid for the property. So as a professional real estate agent, I share with my clients a range where I think the market value is, and it's up to them to decide if they want to go above that range, if it's their absolute dream home. The other pitfall would be if that home came back as an appraisal, only appraised at 1.2 million, and they paid 1.25, the bank's only going to loan them the money on the 1.2 million. They have to come up with the $50,000 in cash if the appraisal comes under that.
Okay, so you're saying if we bid, but it's only worth this, the extra bidding, that's on us.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean,
didn't
it happens. It doesn't happen that often, but sometimes when the bank sends out an appraiser,
Wow.
the appraisal comes back lower than what they paid for it. So that would be a pitfall, right? If they had to pay the difference that the bank wasn't going to lend them on.
Know when to stop. Like, you know what I mean? Like, there's people like, oh, it's my house, and they keep bidding and bidding, thinking they're going to get it. So that means no. So if they say, oh wow, that's a lot of chunk.
Yeah.
Well, I actually, so last night I was just involved in a multiple offer situation where the home was listed at $950,000. Throughout the day, we found out that there was 10 offers on the property. And my client said, I'm approved up to 1.27. And I said, okay, but that's what you're approved for. That doesn't mean you should go that high on the offer price, right? Mm-hmm. Unfortunately, we came second place, and they were a bit disappointed with it. But I felt like if they paid a bit higher, they would be paying well over the market value, and they would have been exposing themselves. But at the same time, I gave them the option to go higher. I said, are you comfortable paying more? It's totally up to you. And so they decided they didn't want to go higher, and we came second place. It wasn't the right home for them.
No. And here's what I'm going to put this out there. This is what people need to understand. Before we got this house, we bid it. We put down on 2 other ones, and we came in second, like you're saying. It just never worked out. And in the long run, this was the perfect house for us. Sometimes you just got to wait. Yeah. Have some patience. Just have some patience.
Walk them back off the plank a bit, right?
Yeah. Yeah, that's the thing. So here's the other thing that you forgot to mention too about what young couples shouldn't do. Fellas, don't let your fiancés watch those TV shows. Okay, stop watching those TV shows. Renovate. So Ryan, I'm going to ask you: do sometimes they look at a house and go, "Oh, I want that. We could just knock out this wall. We could just do this, do that, do that." Do you get a lot of those couples?
Yeah, they're like, we can just remove this main wall going through the middle of the house. And I said, well, you might want to get a professional to double check that. So that's another good point, is a lot of these homes, the offer night is in 1 week, and you have to be ready. You have to have your financing ready. You have to look at the home inspection and make sure you're organized for that. But, I recommend, if there isn't a pre-inspection on the property, if the listing agent hasn't provided that pre-inspection, that you, as a buyer, you spend the money to have the home inspected so that you have good peace of mind moving forward on the property. Because if you buy the property without an inspection, who knows if there's a leaky foundation or there's some faulty wiring or something. So it does cost money, about $500 to get a pre-inspection before the offer date. But you can also sometimes hire an inspector to do a walkthrough and call you with all of the insight to the property without a full inspection for half the cost. And they do about 50 inspections a month, so it's still a very a more cost-effective way of doing it.
So we did that with ours. We went in and we knocked down walls and we did this and repainted that and stuff. And the difference is we took our time, right? We took our time and we did. And I think it's a great idea too. But don't let them watch those TV shows because it's not real. I'm sorry, they're not getting. This person bought that, and that's sponsoring this show, and this is sponsoring this show. Nick, you went through it. I went through it. You know what I mean? Like, Nick,
Okay.
did anybody
Okay.
come?
But
Did anybody
Charles,
come to your house and knock on the door and go, "Here, this"?
okay, but Charles, I have to ask you because you asked Nick and me about what was the selling point. What was your selling point and your wife's at that point? Like,
Oh
what
my
was
God.
it? Was it your man cave there, or was it the kitchen?
You know what it
He's
is?
in it.
No, honestly, I could bring her down. I don't mind saying it. We actually had a fight for one house. Like, we opened it. It was like open concept, like totally open concept. The whole thing was open. She looked at it. I saw the tear come down her face and everything. I went, oh my gosh, she really loves it. Then they told us the price. And I was like, no, wait, what? That's at our max. I'm thinking, okay, but like he said, you got property tax, you got this, you got that. I'm like, okay, not only did I have to bring her off the plank, I had to tie her off the plank. I had to get the car. I had to get everything because that's what she wanted. She saw the dream home and that's what she wanted. When we came here, I guess I got to ask you this question. Are guys more visual than girls, like than ladies? Like, they can't see it. Like, guys can go into a house and go, I can see it. We can do this. We can do that. Unless the ladies see it, they can't picture it. Am I wrong with that, Nick? Brisa, what do you think?
I'm not stepping in that one.
I see the vision, but again, because I now have my first home, it's different.
Okay.
It's different when you haven't had that opportunity. So yes, you get bought into all those shows, and include not just like the real estate shows, but like the wedding shows, the perfect dress. Like, I said yes to the dress. Damn it, I said yes to the dress. But it's like you get sucked into the dream.
I'm just gonna say, Ryan, I need to know, like, are you the one all-in-one package? Like, if someone picks you as the realtor, are you the one that says, I'll line up the inspector, I'll line up the mortgage, I'll line up this, and you really do the hand holding? Are you that type of person?
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. That's why I'm the best buyer's agent in King West, right?
Here you go.
Yeah.
Hold on.
Bring that up.
There you go.
Pop my email up on the window there. But no, honestly, it's
Love it.
so there are a couple steps, right? So we bring them into the office for the buyer's consultation, or we'll do a Zoom consultation. Like I said, really get inside their head, what they're looking for, and then we prepare them to beat the competition. Like, what things do we have to do to be competitive in this marketplace, right? And one of the things I mentioned was having a home inspection, getting your financing all buttoned up before the offer date. And then the closing, can you be flexible with the closing? Can you do a 30-day closing? Because a lot of these homes are vacant, and that will bolster your offer if you can have a quicker closing. And we're going to protect you with clauses in the offer and do everything in your best interest and really make sure that you're making a sound purchase here. But if you can be flexible on a few things, and we help you be really organized to beat the competition in that scenario. So.
All right. So, Nick, it's all about style. We love our style, right? So, Ryan, what is the style that we should be looking? What's the new style homes that the brides are looking for? Is it the 2-story? Is it the back split? Is it a big backyard? Is it what, Nick?
Stackable now.
Stackables. Yeah. What is it that they're mostly looking for?
To be honest, the style of home is one of the factors. One of the other big factors is the neighborhood and the school district, right? Like that's a huge value component to buying a home. And it's new construction is getting pretty pricey. The new condos and the new townhomes are actually more expensive than a lot of the resale ones. And that's because of, building cost, land acquisition. There's a lot of development charges. So if you're looking for a deal, it's probably not in new construction, let's be honest here. That said, if you need a specific area or a specific condo, you might want to pay a premium to have a brand new condo in that neighborhood.
So hold on, Nick, teach me, what's a stackable?
So my understanding now is that it's a lot of these so-called 900 square foot little homes that you're finding in these little pockets, as Ryan was mentioning. And what they're doing now is they're just building on top of it, or they're building behind it. So it's now prefab components that they're putting on homes to increase the square footage, because you're not able to get the land as you're seeing today, where the lot sizes are still the dramatic sizes of 15, 16, 25, but you are now able to go higher to increase square footage of a home, compared to before bungalow styles where they were going wider of zero on the lot. So, Ryan was just spot on. If you can be in an area in Toronto that you want, the idea would be is finding the home that you can arrange and afford. Most importantly, afford.
Okay. So let me ask you this: is that why when I'm driving into Toronto, I see a lot of the houses, the tops are cut off, and then they're going upwards? Is that so? They bought the home they loved, and then they're going upwards more. Is that what it is?
That sounds like a full renovation. Yeah, they're adding more height. They're adding like a third story to the home. They found the perfect location, and then they're investing a lot of money to make a lot more space for themselves. It sounds like, yeah.
I have a question in respects to because this is something that I guess not a lot of people buying their first home think about, but that's another option. And I'm kind of curious, is buying the land, maybe a little bit up north or somewhere, and then building your dream home. Because I hear a lot of variations of what an actual building a cost of the house is. I've heard from 200,000 to 300,000 building your perfect home. But then again, you are buying the land, and at that point, you're just buying the land, and you're paying property taxes on it, but you're not paying any other utilities because nothing is on it. Then is that another common thing? Because maybe a lot of brides and grooms haven't thought about that, because they think immediately going into their home, especially if there's an instant need to go live somewhere. Yes, if they live with their mom and dad or somewhere, they can rent for a little bit, but then renting equals the same amount of a mortgage would be, right? So is that another option? Is that common? Like, what advice do you have on that?
I wouldn't say it's very common, and it's very expensive, because land acquisition, most likely you have to put down at least 50% just to buy the land, right? And then you've got to hire like a general contractor or a developer or builders. Is probably the more expensive option that is reserved for people with pretty deep pockets. Like usually first-time home buyers, they're either getting into one-bedroom condos in downtown Toronto, or they're getting into townhomes. And some townhomes are freehold, which means they don't have maintenance fees.
Yep.
And then other townhomes are like condos, so they have maintenance fees, but they'll be less than like a high-rise condo.
Yeah.
So that's usually what we see our first-time home buyers getting into. Not as much land acquisition and development.
Yeah, that was our first house, townhome, freehold, so we didn't have the condo fees, and it's just a stepping stone. You're getting your foot in the door, you're finding something, and then later on you're using that to push to the next level. But then the question is, how do you know what area is the best area for that townhome? Or do you go for one that's already been there for 2 years, or do you go one when they're just building in the area? Where do you jump on?
So the most valuable townhomes and the most valuable areas are close to transit, right? So is it close to the Eglinton new line? Is it close to the Bloor line or transit? Those are some of the better locations. Does that answer the question?
Yeah. So, okay. and then for me, garage or no garage?
Yeah, I mean, a garage. Sometimes with the townhomes, they have underground parking. Sometimes they have lot level parking. Get a parking space if you can, because it's always going to add value and resale value as well in the future.
Nice.
So what would you say is something that you recommend as a general person buying their new home now in 2021? I guess almost post-pandemic now, because it's a little different. Obviously, we don't know what the interest rate will be, but we can only speculate that it's going to be higher, right?
Right. So with regards to interest rates, yeah, you can get it locked in really low right now, 1.5, 1.7 interest rate. And then you can always change it to a fixed rate later. remember, I'm not a mortgage professional, but I do know a few of those things. But if you lock in at a 5-year variable at 1.5%, and then you want to change it later to a fixed, you'll have to keep that same term of 5 years, and they have all the control at that point, right? Because you're with them locked in. So just keep that in mind. But yeah, really, like the buyer's consultation is a big one. And then after we do the buyer's consultation with our clients, we go out on a market experience tour. So this is an opportunity not for them to buy something, but for us to go take a look at a few homes in their price range and in the location they mentioned, and just kind of get to know if they like being on a corner, or they like a more private area. So it's all about building the relationship in the beginning, and a lot of communication and openness.
Yeah. So do you tell them what the pros and cons of a corner house, the pros and cons of do you tell them all that stuff?
I hide everything from them.
There you go. So make sure, call him right now. Go over there.
It's a conversation, right? Like, there's only so much we can do over a Zoom call. So we like to go out in the field, and then we'll monitor the property. Say you see a home listed at $599, and then a week later it sells for $750. So it's part of the market experience tour is that we're just getting educated about what's happening in the market.
I like that you do that, because for somebody like when my first time, you're scared of doing it. You know what I mean? I had somebody to take your time and teach you each one. So make sure you send them an email right there. Say, listen, I saw you on the show. I know that you're going to help me. I know that you're going to go on my side and not my bride's side. No, I mean, you're going to help me. Send them an email.
Even if you're just starting to save and you might be a year or longer out, like we can start making a strategy now so that you can get excited about the process and put everything together.
Okay, I have to say something. I know that we've had a lot of guests on the show, but by far real estate has been the sexiest show, because I love it. Like it's so different. And again, it's a different perspective. Like when you I'm a proud homeowner. I really, really am. I'm like, and it took us so long. So you appreciate it so much more. And to know what you want, and you know what, and you're excited about the next house, and what you want. And it's like, okay, well, this is now on my want list. Is like by far, I know, I don't know about you guys, but this has been the sexiest show, because like I love real estate. Like I love it.
I should button up my shirt.
My husband is out here.
Ryan, oh my goodness, Ryan, you've been a great pleasure teaching us and having fun with us and making it fun, because that's what it is. Don't stress yourself out, people. Learn from the best, and that's what he's there for, to help you get into it. Ryan, is there a number you want them to call you at?
Sure. Yeah. 647-921. There it is. 9453. Yeah. Shoot me a text. We can set up a time to set up a 30-minute consultation and go over some of your options, what that looks like.
All right. Well, thank you, my friend, for being on the show.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Bye.
Thank you. Pleasure.
Okay. I'm going to be honest with you. My first house, woo, I was nervous. I was scared. When they put the pen in your hand to sign, because now you're owning a property. Now it's yours. Now you got to pay mortgage. You got to do this and lights and gas bill and then you sign and your heart comes out of your chest.
Yeah.
And I got mine when the builder was building it. So we got in at a good price. And then you see it getting built, and you see it, you walk in, you see they're putting in the faucets and this. And like you said, Breeza, when you go in and then you close the door and you go, this is mine.
Yeah.
That's my faucet. That's my plug. That's my light. That's It's a great feeling.
It's all about adulting, but it's the good adulting. It's knowing that okay, you okay. I'm not like, this is not about the pressure, the society pressures. This is about feeling proud that this is something that's yours. That you are. You don't have to, like, as we rented for so many years. Oh my God! Like my parents, they still rent. They don't own. So in my family, it was a very big deal. And to say, hey, I want to plant a tomato plant in the backyard, or I want to plant The kitchen a crazy color, the living room a crazy color. You don't have to ask for permission. You know, those little things, or if you know you're using more power, more energy, or more water, that's on you, because whatever you decided to do with it. But no one,
Yeah.
you know,
Now,
or the best one, because we're party people, right? Putting the music loud at 1 o'clock, and then having the renters in the basement with the broom, you know, like, keep it down.
yeah, but now I understand what my parents were going through, because now I'm yelling at the kids, get out the shower. You're still in the shower? You're wasting my water. Get out. Like, you're wasting my water. You see that now? It's my water, not there. My water, because it's my house. I pay the bills. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's a scary thing, but like Nick said, you have to talk to each other. You have to sit down with your other half and say, look, we're going to get married, but here's the thing. Do you want a 2-bedroom? Do you want a 1-bedroom? Do you want to live in the Toronto? Do you want to live in the suburbs? Do you want a backyard? How many people do you have? What's our term? Are we going to live in the house for 1 year and move out? Are we going to save? Are we going to cut out the Netflix and chill? Are we going to go out to the movies? Are we going to go out to, like, there's a lot of things that you have to just cut out to get what you want.
It's a responsible but much needed conversation with your significant other, wherever you are in the relationship. Whether like, at this point, you look at your other and you're like, okay, I think this is long term. This is what I want to spend the rest of my, my life with. And it's a conversation. There's no right or wrong whether you buy your house before marriage or after marriage. I mean, if it's pro wedding, like, well, pro wedding, woo, hire us, right? Hire Charles, get your sister next. But at the same time, it's a much needed, responsible conversation. And if you know how hard it is, because it can be if you're doing it on your own, it's about educating yourself, but then educating your kids to do the right thing, and about planning their future and doing it young, because when it comes to your future, there is no such thing as too early. There's no such thing.
And here's the thing, though, what I'm going to put this out to everybody. It doesn't make a difference where it is, as long as you start. Anywhere you can lay your head with you and your bride, or you and your hubby, that's your home.
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm going to take it back to my parents. They used to live over a fried chicken place. Okay. That's where they lived. That was their first house when they first came to Canada, living over a fried chicken on the bottom, and we lived on top. I have all the pictures. It's 1 bedroom, whatever, somewhere to start.
Yeah.
And that's what you call home. That's why I joke around. I'm like, stop watching all these TVs and seeing all 4-bedroom home and the pool and the backyard. You got to start somewhere. Yeah. So, the living room, that's your room. That's your house. Make it beautiful. Make it your own. And then take your time and then grow. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And I have to say, there is literally no shame in asking for help. If you have a relationship with your folks, or rent the other room, there is no shame, because I did it. Like, a lot of people did it. And it's a sense of, yes, helping them. Don't be a freeloader. I'm not saying that, but I'm saying, like, if that's what you need to do, or whatever means it is to own that little piece of property, then do so. I find also, and we didn't talk about this, but I find a lot of, I guess, millennials too, they don't want the responsibility. They want to rent. But it's about, okay, well, if you want to rent and move around, cool. But just, you can buy a property, rent it out. You can still live wherever you want to live. And then 10 years down, that could be your home, or resell it at that point. But this is a much needed conversation. I'm so, so happy that we had Ryan on the show today. I was so looking forward to this segment, because it's about making responsible, educated decisions. That's what it is all about.
All right, Nick, I'm going to leave the last word to you, my friend. What do you think?
We lost you. I can't hear you.
What happened to your sound, Nick? Hold on. What happened to Nick? Nick!
Oh, no. He's stuck again. Oh, no. Nick! Oh, no.
Nick, come in, Nick. Where's Nick?
Oh, no. We lost them.
Come out, Nick, and come back in. I want to hear, Nick, we want to hear your closing remarks on this. Nick!
No, I think we lost him for good here.
Oh, well, listen, if you want more information, there it is. Give Ryan an email. Send him a little jot right there to the website. Check out his website. I like that he showed us that the chart.
Yeah.
Because more understanding on, okay, ooh, look at the money. Look where I got to put the money. Look where I got to save some money. Because that's what people don't understand too, is when, don't go gung-ho. You need property tax money. You need lawyer fees money. You know what I mean? So there it is. So give him a call. 647-921-9453. There it is. All right. And Nick says to have fun. Nick, he's blue.
Hey, I have to admit, it's a better post than last time.
Blink, Nick, if you can hear us. All right,
Thank you so much, guys.
Thanks for watching. See you later.
Bye.